you can, but think of making missions to your country to give back something. Others will say, I shall stay. And when you say, I shall stay, your roommate will look at you as if, but I shall stay. If you are staying, are you staying in medicine? Or are you going to drift to something else? If you are staying in medicine, do you prefer the service sector or do you prefer the teaching sector? These are options. If you are going to be in service, are you going private or will you be in the public sector? If you are going private, are you going to be in paid employment or you are going to become an entrepreneur? These are various levels of questions you must answer. Whichever answer you give, ask yourself, what are my plans for a decent, comfortable life? You owe that to yourself. But one thing I must tell you is that if you are, whether you are staying or going, as long as you want to be and remain in medicine, staying with MBBS is not an option. You must go postgraduate. What about Nigeria? Is there anything Nigeria must do? Certainly. We must pay more attention to health by way of funding. We must improve the quality of living in the country. You see, if you transfer me to some, maybe not even too distant village, just send me away from Lagos, somewhere, away from civilization, I will not go. What will I go there to do? Which school will the children attend? What kind of exposure are they going to have? Where will light come from? Where will water come from? Etc., etc. So if life, the quality of life does not improve beyond capital cities, then you can be sure that people will not want to go outside capital cities. Most of the manpower will be concentrated in Lagos, in Benin, in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and so on. And we must refrain from making annoying and insensitive statements like those coming from our ministers. So in this brief session, we have confirmed that immigration tales are true. We have explored the reasons for the immigration. We have noted the positive and negative effects. We have exposed the options that are available to you and to Nigeria. We have echoed the path to national recovery. I thank you very much for inviting me and for listening.
Please, another round of applause for Professor Njoko. All right, so we're very grateful for sparing your time to speak to us today, and I'm sure we've learned a lot. How many of us will stay in Nigeria after this talk? Kai, come on. This talk should have touched your soul and touched your spirit. You should have done something to your insides, and you just be like, Nigeria, my country. Come on, what's wrong? Nobody wants to, after, Kai. Oh yeah, if you would think about it, are we going to think about it? Are we going to think about it? All right. So for those of us who are online, we've sent it to FECAMDS Nigeria. Please, ESCOs, take note. We've sent it to the LOC group. This is being streamed live via the Catholic Church of Presentation media channel. They streamed our live mass. So for our members who were unable to attend the convention is going on live. We're getting feedbacks from a lot of our people in diaspora, from Canada, UK, telling us that they actually enjoyed the session by Professor Njokoma. It's coming in right now as I am comparing this program. So please just send it across to let them be aware. Now, our second speaker, when Prof was talking, there was something he said about, us fighting ourselves. And it's very important, particularly for FECAMDS Nigeria. We're quite different from, okay, let me not call any organizational names, but we're quite different from a lot of other Christian bodies or religious bodies that are just for medical and dental students. FECAMDS is all encompassing. So the president, wait, is it the one before John? Okay, I think the president before John was actually a nursing student. And at different levels, even I think from Lautech, the president is actually female and also a nursing student. Please, a round of applause for Lautech. And so at various chapters, we have different people coming in and at different stratas, not just medics, because it's very important. One of the things FECAMDS hopes to do is to achieve, let me use the word synergy amongst ourselves. So now our next topic is very important, and very particular to us. The first one was very important because I know at this point, nurses too are also traveling abroad. You people, please have a change of heart and stop making them reduce our visa. I don't like it. So, and this is very important. This topic is equality. Does it reign on us all? Achieving synergy amongst health workers. And it will be taken by Dr. Sanda Ajibola. But before we introduce him on stage, I'd like to read. See, we have big people here. Oh. This one too. Please open your ear very well so you hear it. Before he comes up on stage, Dr. Sanda Ajibola is a senior resident in the nephrology unit. He's a strong believer in the future of Nigeria. He is listen well, he's the chairman of Young Doctors Committee of the Nigerian Medical Association. And he was also the awarded Best Doctor of the Year 2020 in Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. And currently, he's a senior legislative aide to the Speaker of House of Representatives, HER Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Sanda Ajibola.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. Before I start, I want to first greet Professor Njokama once again. I was a medical student under him in 500 level in Lasukom. So, Prof, good afternoon, sir. And I'm still doing my postgraduate, and Prof is still our Prof. So, another round of applause for Prof. When she was introducing me, she said, and by the way, I feel like as if I'm among my mates. So, I'm very comfortable in this environment. She said I was senior legislative aide to His Excellency, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I just wanted to correct that. So my talk today is on equality amongst medics, but I'll be drifting back and forth because Prof's topic is a topic at the center of my heart, brain drain. In fact, sometimes I look, when I started residency in 2017, I think we're about 17 that entered internal medicine in Lasut. Amongst us were just 5 that left. The remaining 12 are in the UK. So why did some of us choose to stay? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out later. But yeah, it's an alarming situation, and I was disappointed nobody here rose up their hands when they said who is going to stay back. The truth is, like Prof said, there's nowhere like home. You're most likely going to come back to do charity or visit your mom or dad or your cousin or come back for one wedding or the other. But yeah, let me go into my topic. So my topic is equality. Does it reign amongst all in health sector? We've all heard of, if all of us have not heard, I'm sure the people in Ife have heard of what happened recently in the University of Ife when a senior resident and a house officer went to pass a central line for a patient and the nurse in the ward did not participate because most likely she was the only nurse in a ward of about 20 critically ill patients, where ideally there should have been one nurse to 2 or 3 patients. But all her colleagues are already on British Airways to UK. But she's the only one in Ife. Maybe her passport is not ready. So she could not participate in that procedure. And there should be a nurse assisting the doctors to, sort out 1 or 2 things. The nurses own the ward. Unfortunately, the doctors were not happy. So after the procedure, the doctors did not sort out the materials they had used. And the nurse said, please dispose your sharps. Everybody's angry. Nurse is angry. Senior resident is angry. House officer is angry because she has been used as both a nurse, a doctor, a ward attendant, a cleaner, lab scientist, everything, messenger. And the house officer says, please, matron, it's your duty to sort out the instruments that are used. And she said, UK, when did you become a doctor? And she locked the door and said the doctor wasn't going to leave. And it became a big fracas. ARD in Ife said they were going to go on strike. All the nurses in Ife said they will go on strike. And imagine what that will lead to. If there is a strike, if I tell you how many people die in a day, you won't believe it. So I'm here today to discuss about how we can all work together as healthcare workers. And I'm happy that this is a Christian setup. So we would use the Bible to reference some of the things we would say. And if my Bible knowledge serves me well, in the New Testament, I would say most serious or the most absolute commandment was love your neighbor as yourself. So if you come to work and you see your colleague as your neighbor, and Christ has told us to love our neighbors as ourselves, we would treat our neighbors and our colleagues the way we want to be treated. Am I correct? So that's one way I see that we can work together, especially as Christian health workers. And as Christians, our major aim is to be like Christ. I think the word Christian is Christ-like. So when we come to work every day, the first things on our mind should be, what would Jesus have done in this situation? Maybe that's what that nurse or that house officer should have asked themselves before they started. Is your job is not my job, is your job is not my job. But yet, let me go into this. Now, as funny as this topic might sound, this topic has been a dissertation topic for a couple of people. By dissertation, I mean people who are doing their Part 2 exams, even in the MBBS level, when you are doing your final year projects. Interprofessional rivalry amongst health workers has been a major point of discussion for both doctors, nurses. And if I'm going to look into the situation, I would say the rivalry is deep-seated, and it starts from medical school, where we feel that, because I'm a medical student, I'm better than the guys doing nursing, or because I'm a nursing student, I'm better than the physiotherapist, or because I'm a pharmacy student, I'm better than whatnot. But no, it doesn't really translate to that, because the health sector, so to speak, has been, in Nigeria now, has made it look like as if being a doctor would earn you the highest pay. But I'm happy with what Prof said. In fact, Prof did not even say everything, because as a nurse leaving Nigeria to go to the UK, you are earning better than the professor you left in Nigeria. So if you look at it in that perspective, you realize there's no need to boast. This person can earn more than me if she travels. So you being a doctor doesn't necessarily mean you will get higher pay at the end of the day. It just depends on how you apply yourself. It depends on how you channel your energy. And it's not just a problem with the health sector itself. It's also a problem with the economy of the country we find ourselves in. The economy is not rewarding every specialty, not just health workers. If you go to the civil service, the people who studied engineering, you would even weep for them. Or is it the lawyers? You weep for them. So even amongst people in the civil service, I think we healthcare workers are even giving some form of premium, so to speak. So how do we achieve synergy? How do we boost the morale of our fellow healthcare workers? I'll say, first of all, is communication. So there are a lot of associations even amongst doctors, there is the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, which is meant to be like the umbrella body. There is AGPMPN, which is a body governing private doctors. There is ARD, which is another body for resident doctors. There is M1, Medical Women Association of Nigeria. So already, all of those associations will have their selfish interests. Everybody will want to be the one to represent the doctors when they are going to have high-level meetings where decisions will be made. Because if you are in a place where decision will be made, decision will sway to your own interests. You know, so that's how it is played. And you want to be sure that your interests are being represented on the table. But as healthcare workers, for instance, you find out that when doctors go on strike, so ARD is on strike, and the consultants don't join. The consultants are senior level, they are our teachers, so they can't be seen to also be in the same boat with us. But ARD is on strike, the consultants are supporting us at the back, having negotiations on behalf of the doctors. Then the doctors get what they want, and the nurses are like, what's the meaning of that? The nurses too will go on strike. JOHESU, that's the Joint Healthcare Workers Association, which comprises of pharmacists, physiotherapy. So communication, I feel if all of these associations can come together, and not just at the level of association, in your own individual institution, as medical students. So Christian bodies are very good, because when we are in Christian organizations, there is no doctor, there is no nurse. We are all under FECAMDS, we are all under NCCMDS, we are all under an umbrella body, and we see ourselves as equal Christian students. And if you can have that mindset when you leave your four walls of learning and grow into the associations with that same mindset, it gives some form of synergy amongst yourselves when you start working. So you break that gap of, or you break that barrier of superiority complex where you feel because I'm a doctor, I'm better than the nurse. No, that's not true. Like the scuffle I used as an example in Ife, without the nurses, you cannot prepare yourself for that procedure. Without the doctors, the procedure cannot be done. Without the lab scientists, you will not get your full blood count. So we all need each other to care for the patient. Meanwhile, our major aim is to make sure that our patients get better. So if the lab is giving me a wrong, for instance, I'm a nephrologist, and I see a patient who is sick, I take blood samples, and the lab is telling me the patient's potassium is 3.9, when in real essence, the patient's potassium is 8. And I just treat the patient like a patient whose potassium is 3.5, and he has a cardiac arrest and dies. The fault will trickle down. So we need to see that everybody in this organization called medicine, we all need to hold each other's hands to work together to achieve maximal results. The second thing is trust. How can we achieve more synergy? So I've said communication, I've said trust. And trust is built from the foundation. So if, as a medical student, when I was part of in LASUTS, where I finished from, the medical student body is called LASUMSA, Lagos State University Medical Students Association. As at the time when I finished, there were no nurses or there were no other professionals, but now there are other professionals. So if when the LASUMSA president is going to meet with the provost and is only representing the benefits of the medical students and the nurses, the pharmacists are not being represented, I will never trust that guy. I will never trust those guys, even when I become a pharmacist or a nurse. You understand what I mean? So trust, we need to learn to build trust amongst different specialties and cadres of service, and feedback. So when anybody does something good, we need to learn to critique, and we also need to learn to accept critique in a good way, and we also need to learn to tell people thumbs up when they've done a good job. So it's not only when somebody has done bad, you reprimand the person. When the person has done good, you encourage the person to do better. So in all of this, we can build synergy in the way we work with one another. So and I just wanted to share something that I saw when I was getting ready. Healthcare is like the oldest profession in the whole world. We all know that when God was going to create the woman, he did not just say, let there be a woman. Instead, he performed the procedure. So God in himself, because he is God, was able to split himself into many parts. There was a theater, he was the surgeon, he was the scrub nurse, he was the anesthetist, put Adam to sleep, removed a rib from him, he was the cardiothoracic surgeon, closed it back, cleaned it, put him in the ICU. He was the nurse who monitored Adam. Eve came out, put her in the neonatal unit. She was the pediatric nurse. He was the so there was synergy. There was synergy. And we need to learn to want to be like God. We need to learn to be Christ-like. And even amongst human beings, we've seen our patron saints. There's St. Luke the physician. There's St. Blaise. By the way, I named my first son Blaise because I want him to be an ENT surgeon. My wife is a senior resident in ENT. We are both in Nigeria. So, so there's St. Blaise, who is also an ENT surgeon. So there are so many people in the Bible, saints that you can emulate and read their history, and you see how they have lived and how they made life comfortable in their own time. So when she read my citation, she said, I'm a strong believer in the Project Nigeria. Yes, I am. What do I mean by that statement when I say this? So when I was a medical student, I used to tell my friends, and that's not a long time ago, I finished medical school in 2012. So I used to tell my friends that if you could not do anything outside medical school, that's when you were a medical student, you will not do anything outside being a doctor. So when I was a medical student, I was in the Senate of my student association. I contested for presidency. That was the first election where there was a tie. I was the general secretary, assistant general secretary of NCCMDS. So I participated in other activities apart from reading O&G and pediatrics and medicine and surgery. And as a doctor, I have also tried to also spread out to other parts of my life to gain fulfillment. So you heard I'm the senior legislative aide / I also am the special assistant on health to the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I try to do 1 or 2 businesses. Currently, I don't know if anybody here knows, Lasut is the first teaching hospital in the whole of Nigeria that has a fully functional interventional cardiology unit. It's a public-private initiative. We have a cath lab there. A cath lab is a device that helps you to cure people with heart attacks, people who have aortic aneurysms, and our own machine can also perform neurosurgery. I was very instrumental in putting that machine in Lasut as I head the company that runs that facility. So if you see yourself just as a doctor, you will not be fulfilled. You will run from Nigeria, you will go to UK, you will do PLAB, you will become a GP, you will not be fulfilled in the UK, you will run to Canada to earn more money, and you will still not be fulfilled. Fulfillment is what you should look for when you are going ahead in life. Fulfillment is not only in money. Money is very important. I like looking very good. Money is that. But fulfillment also comes in being happy. So on this note, I would like to say thank you, and God bless you guys.
Okay, all right, yes. Please, another round of applause for Dr. Ajibola Sanda. All right, now, so for our program, okay, before I remember when we initially started, we're all giving honor to whom honor is due. I do not know how to, for some of you who had seen me when Dr. Sanda was talking, there was just this bubble of excitement in my face when I was moving the central aisle. And that's because somebody here is, there are very few people in our lives that would put their all. Like, how will I put it? We have people who, you know, there's people who see us as their kids. Like they say, oh, my child, my daughter, and very few of them will actually treat you like in that way. So I'll tell you one quick story. When we started this convention, February, they said, Judith, you had fundraising. This was after they begged my life, and I said, lie. So I said, okay, we'll carry it up. And then first budget came. Initially, budget was around 6 point something. First, then we looked at it, we adjusted it. In my mind, I was like, no, everything has to be big, everything has to be grand. Dennis was saying, Judith, there's no money. I said, no, we'll do it big. We hit the first budget. I did 14 million, gave it to the LOC. Martin said, Judy, come, calm down. 14 million, no. We brought it down to 10.8. Sorry, 10.6. And we're like, we'll raise the money, we can raise the money. And so they were like, okay, we'll go and talk to some patrons. Spoke to some of them. I was feeling fly. 2 months down, 1 naira had not entered the account. I started reconsidering the budget. Nobody sent me a message. But there was one person. Honestly, if this did not happen, I can tell you how we kicked off would have been very surprising. So aside from Monsignor who had given us first support, and that support was there for like, so we said we would host this August, right? That support came in around November. From November down to April, 1 naira did not enter the account. But something changed in April. Every Sunday, 2 masses, someone took his time to go and say, these are my children, oh, please help support them. Within 1 week, we got the first 300,000 naira, like that. Weeks after that, and it was in trickles, some people 10,000 naira there, 8,000 naira here, 10,000 naira there. But very few people will actually follow you and start begging, because you're legit begging for something that they don't even know about. You know, we were like 30. In our chapter here, that 30, most of them are on the main campus. So in the parish, we're like 17. Out of that 17, I'm the only one in choir. Martis is the only one in Legion of Mary. The rest of people, they come church, go back. So imagine begging people for money and they don't know you from Adam. But they did because of one person. And that one person has given us the honor of coming here. Not even honoring us, giving us the privilege, because it's a privilege, of honoring us with his presence. And I'm so happy, I'm so delighted. Please, let us all give a resounding welcome to Chief Charles Ayamoshigwe, the patron and father of FECAMDS. I tell you solemnly, it's him that courage came from. If not, you people will not be sitting down here. One person. One person. Without further ado, something that also happened. You people are saying Stanbic here. The person that told us Stanbic was him. He was just like, talk to Chukwemeka, my son. He's going to help you guys with it. Like play, we send message to Stanbic. Stanbic did Shakara small. We send message again. They did Shakara small. We said, okay, we needed another help. Me and Baker helped. So now they're sponsoring us, and for that reason, we have to go on a short break and display there. And obviously, they are sponsoring you, and for certain reasons, they say technical issue. Stanbic, we're sorry, please, see, we know you people pay, see, we're begging you, please, we're very sorry. But we have we have a lot of sponsors for this program. One of them is a magazine being run by Chief himself, Pride Magazine Nigeria. We also have sponsorship from the Osigwe and Mosigwe Foundation. We also have sponsorship from Stanbic IBTC. These ones, they've claimed everywhere. See outside, they're the first set of people you see. You must see them, because they are dropping serious money. And the next group is May and Baker. So for our next speaker, now when Stanbic emailed and said, you've not seen this one before, they tell you, we are begging you for money. You now say, okay, yes, we'll give you money, but please give us the privilege to speak for some minutes. I say, is this some minutes? We'll give you stage. Be a speaker. No, come and speak. That seals the deal of the money very well, because if we say something, they might be like, no, come and speak. And so they did not just send one person, no. They sent close to 10 people, but we have 8 of them seated here with us today. Please, a round of applause for Stanbic IBTC Bank. And most importantly, they decided that instead of just, it's on? Please look very well. I beg. Please, everybody, this advert is paid for. Watch it. Is the audio playing? Please. Thank you. Audio is not. See, just manage. There's no audio, but still watch it. Please, it's very important. Watch it. Watch it, so I'm serious. Let me be explaining for you. So, as you're looking at it now, you can see people looking at laptop. You can also see this. So this man is happy. Apparently, Stanbic has done something. See everybody, very happy people. Okay. Now go watch this advert tire for this convention. It's a promise. So quickly, telling us on financial planning, because it's very important. As students, you notice that it's as if you spend your money before the thing even comes. We are broke. Have you heard of the chicken circle? Who knows the chicken circle here? It's simple. Chicken circle is very simple. So at the beginning of the month, your allowance comes in. You start eating chicken. Buy chicken, buy turkey. Eat it, you're happy. Middle of the month, you start eating chicken products. Milk. Egg. By the end of the month, you're the chicken itself. You're taking gari and granuts to fill your stomach. And that's what happens to us a lot of the time. But this time around, we need to have an understanding of financial planning. The youth is your prime. The youth is where you absorb most of the information. Your youth is where you are able to plan ahead. And so taking us on financial planning, long and short-term benefits, with our partners here from Stanbic IBTC Assets and other colleagues, is Modupe Abolarewa, the head of retail sales, Stanbic IBTC Asset Management. She has over 14 years experience in investment, financial advisory, and relationship management. She is an advocate of being deliberate about personal finance. Please let's give her a round of applause as she comes on stage to speak to us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I think that she has overhyped, but you know what? We will try our best today. Good afternoon, my professors and daddies, my fellow FECAMDS colleagues. I'm not a scientist or a medical student. I read geology in school, but see where I landed. And Professor Sir, that's to let you know that anything can happen anytime. I read geology, I'm in banking, so there's a mismatch somewhere. Yeah, that's what the country actually does to you, so. All right, thank you again for this opportunity. I think that I really enjoyed this program so far, and I want to just quickly mention that Stanbic on its own, you said we did Shakara in the beginning. We can only do Shakara. But you know what? When we see something that is good, we will follow. Because for us, we also believe that the future of tomorrow is those who are seated here. And we're ready to invest in them. So, but how well are we as individuals ready to invest in ourselves? I think that's the reason why they also thought it's that we should come and talk to you today. I'll quickly just speak on a few things, and it's all financial literacy. The first question is, if you ask yourselves as you're seated here, where does your money really go? When they give you that money, what do you do with it? Where does your money go? So I will get numerous answers, and we can go on and on. I wish my slides could be projected, because I have here, because I remember when I was a student too. I mean, I want to use nice phones. I want to buy, so gadgets. We're talking of, I want to make friends with people that have cars. Even if I didn't have that car, but then I wanted my friends to, we need to move around now. Where is it happening and things? For the rich folks that travel, some of them are already planning their trips and a lot of things. And some of us like jewelry. You see the latest, even if it's not gold, at least we'll go and buy it. We want to look nice. I'm an evidence of that. I just want to look good, So I put my monies in those things. But you know what? Whilst we do all these things, you have to think of something. It's about your financial independence. Because there's a saying that goes that where your heart is, that's where your mouth will be. So it's important that if you think deliberately of how you want your future to look like, then you had better start making the plans. You have to start thinking in line of where you want to get to, how you plan to achieve that particular goal that you have set for yourself. And with us in Stanbic IBTC, we think that the first thing you need to consider is budgeting. A lot of us today, when we get our salary, she already explained it, the chicken cycle. We're thinking of how can I, enjoy myself. There's this skit that goes around us. Any money where I get, I go enjoy myself, something like that. So everybody just that tomorrow will take care of itself. Let me enjoy it today first. But really, should that be the case? That should not be the case if we really think deep. And that's why for us, we believe that if you do like a budget and estimate what really comes in for you, you need to understand what are your needs and what are the wants. If you are able to identify the wants from your needs, it helps you to achieve a lot. Because then you recognize which is the part that should go towards your savings and your investments. Now, savings will be things that you would quickly need to use cash for and you leave in your bank account. But when we are talking investments, you're talking of monies that will make money for you. And I'm happy again that a lot of the speakers today have alluded to the fact that this is a Christian gathering. So the Bible rehashes it. Whatever you sow, you reap. We all know the parable of the talents. We know the ones that sowed and was able to get more. We know the one that just went to bury the money. So these things are also learnings that we need to take on as individuals. We need to use them to our own advantage once we know these things. It's very, very important that you just don't leave your money idle. She had said something when she was introducing me, very deliberate about personal finances. I'm married and I have 3 children. But you know what? There's this story around how I had my children and confession for what I wanted for them. So the rest is history, but was I able to achieve what I wanted? Yes, I was able to. And that was me taking deliberate steps to how I wanted it to happen. And that was exactly how it happened. So for me, it's more around your intentions. How well are you intentional about what you seek to do? Today, I know that a lot of us are jackpotting, and that I stand here today is not impossible that I can jackpot. But guess what? Professor said something. He said, for those of us that remain here, we should be thankful. And I believe strongly in that. Because you will notice today that before you get a job, it was very tough. But now there are vacancies everywhere. Don't you think you're opportuned to be in that kind of environment? So as much as you can compare that, oh, I will get more salary or I get more income, but guess what? You're going to pay taxes. As they're giving you, they're going to take it back from you. You might end up being better off, but that loneliness and the fact that you're with your own people, home, There's really no place like home. So if you really think about it, you need to start planning now. And we also identified some of the steps that you need to take in doing that. I think the first thing first is have a budget. What do I have as my disposable income? You know, how much do I need to spend from this for my necessities? It is not the, oh, this person is having a party, I need to get new baths. This person is doing this, I need to. So it's not all that. Those ones will come along, but you need to budget for them so that you don't end up spending impulsively. You know, so because a lot of us, if you do not have a budget, you realize that this thing comes your way, you buy. That one comes, you buy. You just start buying everything because you don't have a plan in place. So that's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you also should do is you need to have a list. For a lot of us, we just think that it's in my head, I know what I need. So, but the truth is, you need to actually draw up that list. Put your pen to paper and write them out, one after the other. Which ones are the income? Which one is the expense? So once you understand those two lines, you can then do your simple arithmetic, the plus and the minus, and then that helps you. And good enough, we also have in the bank, we have the savings promo. Do you even know that you can actually put 10,000 naira in your bank account, and you just might stand a chance of winning 100,000, 1 million or 2 million. It all depends on where you fall in. So the more 10,000s you are putting in your bank account, your chances of getting more money, you know. So and that's what a lot of banks will do today. You see them saying, just trying to attract you to do, you know, save up. And if you are the type that has thought it through in terms of how can you seize the opportunity, then you should look for a reputable institution to do those kind of savings or investments with. Again, I would say again that it hurts me that the slides are not up, because I'd have loved you to see a funny picture of the way we had classified the various human life cycle. So looking at this gathering, I know definitely that we fall within the consolidation stage. Forgive me, the accumulation stage. The accumulation stage is the stage where we are still very agile and active. So this is the time you want to amass all the wealth and everything and plan towards, you know, the other stages of your life. So if you are not doing anything now, how then will the old age look like? You know, so it's very important that you first identify where you are in the human life cycle, what you should be doing at that point in time, and the kind of, you know, investments and savings that you should be looking towards, just so that by tomorrow, and guess what, we all know the saying, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. So you will see some people today, they are rich today, but they didn't also just start being rich. They started from little beginnings. And the Bible says it, do not despise the days of your little beginnings, because it's from there that you tend to grow big. So imagine I put out 5,000 naira every month. And I think that professor is actually in his spirit, because he had mentioned 5,000, and I don't know where he found that from. But guess what? With as little as 5,000 naira, you can actually start an investment. Your own investment account, you can start that with it. And, you know, it's important that you know what your own risk appetite is. Some people will tell you that, you know what, I don't mind, I want to take the risks just so that I can double my money. I want to do this, I want to do that. But ordinarily, what I tell people is, if you look at the current situation of the country, you do not want to do an investment and then you're looking for funds the following, maybe after a couple of months down the line, and they're telling you, you know, you've lost some money, you know, given the current situation we're in. So you need to look for investments that you know that you can, one, trust the partner, because as you are, you have your own area of specialty. And that's why I can't come here today and be quoting all the scientific, you know, languages and words for you. But I can stand here today and tell you that what I personally do is once I get my salary, and my colleagues can, attest to that, the first discussion is, guys, have you set aside something? It's not because they don't all have needs. They do. But you see, if you do not pay yourself first, you realize that at the end of the day, there's really nothing that will come to you. So you need to set aside that little thing. And, like I earlier said, with as little as 5,000 naira, you're paying yourself. So imagine you do that for the whole year. That's 60K. As a student, you're 60K rich those days. And that's just your inflow. That's just your own investment. Then now look at what it would generate for you in the likes of maybe 10%, 12%, and the like. So for investments, you have to be very deliberate about it, and just rob yourself off of some needs or some wants that you might just want to do because you didn't plan before it. And I will quickly mention three of our products that we think that everybody should at least have, because one, it gives you that liquidity. Liquidity just basically speaks to, if I need the cash right now, can I get it? And that's what it affords you. The returns that I earlier spoke about, that you're keeping your money with the professional, means that they need to give you something to earn in return. That's another benefit of the product. Diversification, it just simply means that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And the product I want to talk about is the Stanbic IBTC mutual funds. What is a mutual fund? I will use in simple terms, it's basically like an Isusu. Somebody brings money, different people pull all their monies together, and you give it to the fund manager, in this case, Stanbic IBTC. We will then manage it on your behalf. But what you have access to is you have online access to your account. You are able to top up your account if you wanted to. You can also redeem, and we have what we call the Stanbic IBTC mobile app. That allows you to monitor it on the go. So there's no time you want to check it. As long as you have your data on your phone, you're able to check your investments. And you see, it's very important that you understand your own financial needs, because some of them are long-term, some of them are short-term. But in this current situation that we're in, it's also very important that you are doing something about your personal finances. It's not nobody is going to help you plan for your own finances or your future. So you have to take it upon yourself to be the one that will do these things for yourself. And if you find joy in it, you can then now start to tell your friends. So I will mention the Stanbic IBTC Money Market Fund. What is this fund? It's a short-term fixed income fund. It basically does all its investments in money markets. So it's 100% money market, very synonymous with when you go to the bank and you fix your money. When you fix your money, they give you the rates, they do this. So that's how Stanbic IBTC Money Market Fund is. Now, it doesn't have a fixed rate. However, what you tend to see is the effective yield of the fund on any particular day. Now, the reason why it's like that is rates changes every day. So it basically mirrors whatever the money market industry is doing. So it rides on those rates. The beautiful thing is that it's a short-term fund. It has a holding period of 30 days, meaning that you have to leave your money for at least 30 days. And after then, you can choose to redeem. We call it redeem, that's withdrawals. On the go, and within 24 hours your nominated bank account is credited. We also have the enhanced fixed income fund. That's also very capital preserving. What that means is there's no storing. You put your money today, come 90 days you can get your money. And the minimum holding period as well is 90 days. Now, you can see that one started with 30 days, another one is 90 days. So you need to understand your own liquidity requirements. When will I be needing money? How should I set this one aside for 30 days? Or should I do this one for 90 days? Or do I even have dollars that I want to invest? Because with the current situation of, the country, it's very important that you're also thinking ahead. What should I be doing with my naira? Naira keeps devaluing. Shouldn't I start thinking in the likes of having some dollars? So with that, you can invest in the Stanbic IBTC dollar fund. That one has a period of 6 months. So in the period of 6 months, you have to leave your funds, your dollars, in the fund. But remember, I had mentioned that you have access to all of these investments. You can redeem them online, meaning that you can actually literally just go on the app and say, oh, I need my cash, and you redeem, and it goes into your bank account. It's that easy, So there's actually a QR code here. We would have loved that, everybody is able to take the photo. Okay. But I don't know if it's going to work, the QR code, yeah. If you take a photo of that, it will take you directly to the link where you can invest. But you know what, we are also here to help, navigate and take you through some of the questions that you may have. And of course, we can't rule out the place of insurance. I don't know how many of us have cars here today, but car is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And we know that anything can happen to it at any point in time. And that's why for us, we always say, why don't you transfer your risk to a third party? Why carry on your risk when you can transfer it to a third party? That's the role of insurance. Insurance will help you mitigate all those risks that ordinarily, if you have emergencies, they would be able to take care of it for you at the end of the day without any penny coming out from your own pockets. So at this point, I'll just want to encourage each and every one of us to deliberately think about our personal finances and how we are going to, start doing what is expected. Speaking to a professional, have an identified one, talk to them and understand. Please do not let anybody pressure you. I think I love Stanbic so much that when you meet a customer, they will say, okay, so where do I transfer the money? I say, sorry, sir, the money is the last thing. Can we talk? Can we understand what you need? It's after that understanding, you set up the account, and the customer is getting the notification that yes, things have been done, then you can fund your account. We also do not collect any form of cash from anybody. So please, saying, oh, transfer the cash to me, please run away much later. Thank you.
Please continue the clap, oh. Please continue the clap. All right. So, Madam has been very generous enough, and she feels that a lot of you want to ask questions. So please, if we have any questions, first 3 we will take. Anybody coming after that will have to meet Stanbic right outside, ask your questions, and be answered. So first 3, hands up. Anybody with questions? With plenty.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with Jeff, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was very intrigued with your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And I would encourage all these young people starting out to really plan their lives. It's not Jackpa. I was really going to compliment the speaker I met that was speaking when I came, Dr. Yes.
Okay.
What he told you people about getting self-satisfaction and not jackpotting for jackpot's sake, because there is a glass ceiling out there and you are not among your people and racism is very real. But back to the beautiful, beautiful black is beauty lady here that educated us.
Thank you.
She is really, really, I like it. Look at how smooth, how silky. I like it when people are proud of their color and they are not bleaching, which is, as medical doctors, you can tell us that we shouldn't do that. So we should give her a round of applause, please. Thank you. Now, in all the products you were selling to us,
yes, sir.
I know here say if I put 5,000 within that 3 months,
okay,
the percentage where I go get.
Okay.
Because these days we put money in our peanuts so that they give us. So
right.
how would I be encouraged that my money is growing?
Okay.
So that I can even leave it for 5 years. That's my because you never mentioned the returns. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Do we have more questions? Can I take that?
You can take that. But number 2, quickly raise up your hand. So after that, second question.
I can take that, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Chief. Thank you, Chief. And I appreciate all the compliments. Okay. Let's go to what treasury bills are giving us today. A 1-year treasury bill is in the neighborhood of 6 to 8%, about 8.5 from the last auction that happened. Now, that's a benchmark for the funds I have mentioned because they are also fixed income type funds that relatively preserve your principal, give you steady income stream, and is flexible towards your withdrawal requirements. So for our Stanbic IBTC Money Market Fund, as at the 18th of August, is in excess of that 8.5 is about 9%, tending towards 9% actually, is about 8.5. Then the Enhanced Fixed Income Fund that I had mentioned as well is in excess of 8%, is about 8.4. Now, we have funds that are doing way better than these rates. However, the minimum entry is somewhat higher. Now, these are funds that if you have as little as 5,000 naira, you're able to invest in them. When you have funds 20 million and above, we can start to talk of the double digits in likes of 12% and up. So it's all about, and that's why I said it's important that you speak with the person, understand what the need is, so you can prefer the actual investment that will suit such individual. Thank you.
FECAMDS. My name is Andwasi Solomon, a medical student from Benue State University. Thank you very much, Madam Presenter. I have a question for you. In 2017, when I got admitted in the medical school, I came in with the intention of getting financial freedom after many years of medical studies. So I heard about a Union Future account. I created an account with them. What I was told was I will be given 15% of my savings after a minimum of 5 years. So I was saving 1,000 naira monthly. At the end of the 5 years, I got back to the bank that I needed my money, and the interest was not added to to my investment as we earlier agreed. So when you talked about savings, investment in Stanbic, I want to ask, is it not going to be a similar experience as what I got with the Union Bank, or is this one different?
Okay. I think that the audience already gave you the answer. It's going to be a totally different experience. You see, I also mentioned when I was speaking that you need to identify and partner with a reputable institution. Now, one thing we pride ourselves in is say what we will do and not say one thing and act another way. And if you truly know about Stanbic IBTC as a brand, they will tell you that the corporate governance and the management is one thing that makes us stand out. So we would not boast that we are the best in the industry in terms of returns, but when we speak of consistent and consistency in terms of what we do, that's where we pride ourselves in. So with Stanbic IBTC, there are usually T's and C's, that's the terms and conditions of anything that guides your investments or savings. Once you are within the line of what it is, then you stand the chance of whatever has been promised or is part of that contract. So there is no way that you're going to be told that you would end this and reverse is the case. So yes, we will not do that in Stanbic IBTC because it's an institution that is built on integrity. Thank you.
Number 3, please. Number 3.
Good afternoon, ma. I'm David Kaunda, and I'm a final year medic. I must say, I listened to all that you said, but personally, I have mutual funds with Cowrie Rice. I put mutual funds there on Cowrie Rice. On Chaka app, Chaka, if you know of Chaka, I have ETFs, exchange traded funds. Then I have mutual funds on Cowrie Rice. And I discovered something. The mutual funds I have on Cowrie Rice don't pay me dividends. I don't get dividends. That's one. Okay. Number 2, the mutual funds are not performing as good as my exchange traded funds on Chaka. Number 3, I discovered those mutual funds, like in 2020, the returns were high. By 2021, the money had collected all my returns in the sense that it had dipped. So all my returns had gone. But my exchange traded funds on Chaka remained stable. Despite, even if it dipped, because with this era of inflation in the US, mutual, it has dipped, but it's still stable regarding compared to my mutual fund offered to me by the Nigerian company. It has dipped seriously. So the only advantage I discovered I had from my mutual funds was simply that I kept it in dollars. So because the naira has devalued, so the money has just increased in dollars. But in terms of returns, 0. In terms of dividends, 0. In terms of the percentage, it fluctuates. You know, it's not 0. But compared to my ETF, which is hosted by Vanguard, I believe you understand what I'm saying. It has remained stable, and even despite the downturn, they have been paying me dividends, and I don't know whether you understand me. And I discovered it's the same with most of this Nigerian rand. No. I also have an account with Standard Chartered Bank where I opened for the same mutual fund. So I'm being very honest. That's why, as we were sitting down, I just kept on listening to you. Yeah. Most of these Nigerian mutual funds don't do long. They can't even keep up in the country. So I don't know, maybe most of us here are naive, but I'm not naive. So I'm telling you based on experience, based on my investments. And it's not...
Please clap for him. Please clap for him. Please. Please, can you give him a round of applause? Now, sorry, I didn't get your name. Apologies for that. But you see what you have said is very accurate. And I will explain to everybody today. From what I gathered from him, experience will give you information, right? Because he's talking from a place of knowledge. And let me help you add to that knowledge today. Now, first things first, what is your risk appetite? When you are doing an investment and you don't know your risk appetite, you are going to be missold to. That's the first thing. So when you meet an investment advisor or somebody that says, I'm in investments, I can do this, I can do that, there are some questions they should ask you. First is, what is your time horizon? How long are you investing for? 2, what's your risk appetite? If you put 20,000 today, you come 2 months down the line, 20,000 has turned to 5,000. How would you fare? Are you going to be, oh God, this is my life savings? Or are you going to say, no problem, I know that something can still happen? You need to understand that. Then your liquidity requirements. Those 3 things are very key because you can need money anytime. Now, this third one, a lot of times is infused into your risk appetite, right? It tells you how much risk you can take, which will then inform how long you should be investing for. So you can see the connection between the three. That's where to start from. Now, when you talk of mutual funds and you're talking about short-term, fixed income, money markets, what do you expect? You go into the bank, they give you 2% for your savings account. That's what you will get. It's low risk, low return. That's what you will get. Now, when you start to move closer to the stock market or a blend of the two, you are going to be getting something better than somebody that says, you know what, I just want to be safe. You'll definitely be getting better. Compared to if you now say, you know what, I'm still very young, I have 10, 15, 20 years to go with this investment. Just puts me where I can, maximize and even beat inflation. Now, remember, you should also note that you are the responsible person for this investment. So your access must be key to you. How do you do an investment that you can't view or that you know nothing that is happening to it? Because you need to monitor it. Now, he had said something, he made money, all the interest was wiped off. Obviously, I can already tell that it is in a high-risk investment. Now, when you are in a high-risk investment, timing is key. And I'm sure a lot of us would have heard stock market, stocks, shares. That's what happens. There is always volatility. Today, you can buy it for 5 naira, and the next minute is 7 naira. What stops you from taking your gains? Take your gains and move on. Leave that 5 naira, let you double again. Now, that's the thing with monitoring your investments. So that at the time, and I will use our fund as an example, in 2008, when I joined the bank, that's when the capital markets went, southwards. And the fund, one of our high-risk funds, the Stanbic IBTC Nigerian Equity Fund, was trading then at 14,000 naira per unit. Now, it went down as low as 5,000 naira because the market was very bearish. It was on the down low, it kept tanking. So imagine somebody that bought that thing at 14,000 naira. Till today, they haven't broken even because the fund has not returned to 14,000. Somebody like that will come today and say, I have lost money. Yes, they have lost money because they also didn't understand the fund they were getting into. And he said something about ETFs, right? ETFs are called exchange-traded funds. Now, what that does is it tracks a particular index. If you are in an index fund that says 40 index pension fund, like we have 2 exchange-traded funds, those funds right now are returning double digits. You know why? The capital market is doing so well. In fact, we have funds that are returning in excess of 17%. Meanwhile, the capital market is in excess of 22%. So you see why understanding of your investments, the type of investments that you're getting into is very, very key. And exchange-traded funds, 2 years ago, were not doing well. So you would have seen that even though you were in an exchange-traded fund, but the markets generally was low. It was bearish. Now that the market is bullish, everybody in the stock market is making money. And you will notice that when you hear the news, you hear, oh, the capitalization went down or it went up. People are taking gains. And it's a function of which risk do you want to bear. Do you want the mutual fund to cushion you such that you're not getting that direct impact from the stock? Or do you want to diversify that risk such that when the risk comes, it's everybody that gets that risk? Remember, we are talking high-risk investments. On this table today, the podium today, I haven't mentioned that because I'd also sort of, tied it to the fact that people even want safety to start with. Nobody is ready to gamble or ready to say, you know what, this is what I have, I want to lose part of it. So you have to have a very clear understanding. And the young man that spoke knows what he's saying, and it's correct. So when you are in a high-risk type investment, you need to understand what comes with it and what you stand to enjoy. Above all, if you had monitored your investment day in, day out, you would have known when to get out. especially when it's really high. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause.
If there's any other question, you take it.
This is the final part. I know we are tired. I get it. But this is the final part, and it's very important. Please, another round of applause for Stanbic while I try to climb on stage, please. Somebody of, will I say enigma now, or magna, stepped into our midst while the Stanbic person was talking. You see, we said FECAMDS national anthem when we started. There was a particular time where we don't get anthem. There was also a particular time where we did not have mission, we did not have vision. And there was a time we also did not even have a constitution. Because during the General Assembly, we'll be doing a constitutional review. This is after how many years of having a constitution? See, FECAMDS last week is small but mighty. And all these things happened in one person's administration. I remember when he was telling me about the administration, how he came in. At that time, funny enough, FECAMDS was not even involved in the national body. And then somebody just said, you know what, they've heard of this person. And the president, I think from the east or the north, came down to Lagos to look for this human being, one person, and said, we want you to be the next national president. And you know how we do it here now. You have to go and meet Archbishop. Archbishop will sign, confirm that yes, credible character. You now come and start bidding for. And he said someone said something very funny that time. For a school that had never been active at the national body, that person now coming to say he wanted to be national president. It seemed very weird. Apart from that, it was implied that it would be the most under-accomplished administration ever in FECAMDS. But guess what? FECAMDS is running on the things that happened at that time. We have a national anthem, a new one now because somebody started the first one. We have a constitution review now because a group of people sat down and said, yes, we'll do that. And all this happened between 2013 and 2014. And this happened under one administration. And that administration was led by no other than Dr. Fabian Adley George. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Fabian. So you can see FECAMDS last week is small but mighty. We're having the panel session now, and yes, we have our speakers ready for us all. Sorry, please, I have my phone. My phone is somewhere. Again. Jesus, I don't know. No. My phone, okay. What she said. Sorry, please, that has to happen after. After, but I really like yes. Like we don't have time. So please, quickly, for those of us who have more questions, I remember I held us back. Stanbic will be waiting outside, and they still want to talk to some of us that have plans. And so I'll be moving quickly, but before I start, I can't do this on my own. Because these chairs now are going to be, the people that will sit down on these chairs, I am unworthy to even stand on this stage and talk with them. That's why I've been going down since. One speaker comes, I'll just respect myself, go down. But I can't do this alone. I have to do this with the assistant head of symposium. He's a gentleman dressed in navy blue blazers, red tie, walking towards the side of the stage, looking all dazzling and handsome. He's not single, let me tell people now, before you start eyeing him, remove your eye. But please, let's give a warm welcome to Okoye Paul, the assistant head of the symposium. Joining us for this panel session would be, first person on the list, Engineer Emmanuel Adeleke Benedict, an electrical engineer and project manager. And some of his projects, to mention a few, both home and abroad, includes Azura Power Station Benin, Alaoja Power Station Aba, and he also has some factory acceptance in Italy, Croatia, Bulgaria, India, and China. He is married and a strong believer of the Catholic faith. Please let us welcome Engineer Emmanuel Adeleke Benedict. Second panelist for us today is known for our losses, Innocent Izu Demo. See, you say it fast, that way you will not make mistake. He's a consultant gynecologist and obstetrician at Lagos State Health Service Commission. He also volunteers as an obstetrics and gynecology surgeon at the Family Care Association. He graduated from the prestigious University of Lagos College of Medicine with a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery. First Vice President of the National Association of Resident Doctors of Nigeria 2007-2008, and the General Secretary Association Resident Doctors Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital Shagamu 2005-2006. Oh, you people are not shouting. Why are you people not shouting? He's happily married in the church with 4 children. Next on the list is someone, like I said, who is a father to also. Here, the choir at FECAMDS LASU. He is Alexandra Chidenam. He's a media and communications professional with over 13 years in the media landscape. He's currently a Knight of St. John. He's currently a Knight. How will I put this now? He's still a Knight and he's KSJ, Knights of St. John International. He has served the church in various capacities: Assistant Secretary of CA Catholic Men Organization, Assistant Parish Choir Master, and all at the Catholic Church of Presentation, GRA, Lagos, including Secretary General Ikeja Dinari Choir. Having received an appreciation award from Ikeja Dinari Laity Council recognition of selfless service and contribution to the growth of the lay faithful in his parish and Dinari, he's happily married with children. And now, Dr. Fabian has decided to honor us with his presence. Please, let's give a warm welcome and an addition to the panel session. The National President of FECAMDS Nigeria 2013-2014, Dr. Fabian, a dentist by profession, to the panel session. So this is going to be a very short panel session. We just have very few questions for them, but the rest of you, please, have your questions at your fingertips. Reason why, our topic for this panel session is Christianity in the 21st century. You as a Catholic youth, the challenges you face, the things that worry you, the things that affect you as a person, you would have the opportunity to ask them. And this is why this panel is has people of, it's diverse, it's a diverse panel, people of different professions here to talk to us as young and old people, and we'll be fluctuating between the new generation and the old generation. So please, let's all enjoy.
Okay. Wow, it's almost evening. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. My name is Paul Okoye. I'm a 500 level medical student and a member of FECAMDS LASUT chapter. I'll be anchoring this session, this panel session, alongside my wonderful co-anchor, Judith. I really want to appreciate our speakers for being here. We are really sorry that this took longer than expected, but it's quite enlightening to have you guys here. So yeah, the topic of the theme of this panel session is the Christianity in the 21st century, upholding the Catholic faith in peculiar times. And so we just want to shed light on a few things, and hopefully we won't be too long. So my first question is actually a general question. It goes across everyone, which is, what is unique about the Catholic Church to you? What is that reason why you would not leave the Catholic Church for anything? Individually, please.
Who would like to go first?
I think I want to start with Dr. Fabian. Yeah, so let me go that way. All right.
Thank you so much. I would have preferred Daddy starts first because he has more experience, right? Yeah. When experience speaks, we all listen. So let's hear from Daddy first. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh, no. Thank you for inviting me. I will tell you one thing, or rather 3 things. When I was very young, actually 1968, I was leaving my school at that time. I had 3 things in mind. 1, to be a Catholic priest. 2, to be a professor. And 3, to be a medical doctor. three things I had in mind. One, a priest. Two, a medical doctor. And three, a professor. I wouldn't know what it means that time, but I was very brilliant, very studious. FECAMDS College. I had grade 1, about 9 A's, but I didn't have money to go to university that time, so I had to go and work. I was in the first bank, SBWA that time. Well, I found myself back to the engineering. After I couldn't go to medical school again for about 3 years, my chemistry went bad. So I went to do engineering. 1977, I was in Jos for my NYSC. So, I didn't understand anything again. But this faith is what I've come to talk about. Not medicine, I lost it. Not priesthood, I lost it. Not professorship, I lost it. But the faith, I didn't lose. I picked some, I don't know them again. 3 of them, I picked them on the road. Lasso, I passed through that place every morning, every Sunday to go to Mass. So I didn't know how I even got them again, but I got them. I always tell them, don't lose your faith. Any Catholic I meet, I always tell them, don't lose your faith. I lost mine, 5 years. I got it back. So I became a non-Catholic who now knows how to be a Catholic. I'm begging you, 3 times, I beg you, don't lose your faith. You can be a doctor. I'm an engineer, I'm a consultant, power system engineering. I designed 330 kV, 132 kV power station, Alaji power station, Udupani power station, Azura power station, talking about it now. They don't even know what's the problem there. We design a lot of lines, transmission, 132 kV things now. But if I tell you how I got there, it's my faith. It was a miracle. It was a miracle. 1998. You see, I work with NEPA. I was sacked. 1998, I was sacked. I was sacked with a letter written 29th of April, and I received it on the 13th of August in the same building, 5 floors apart. I didn't say what happened. I didn't understand anything, so I took the letter. I went to my lawyer. I said, are you sure? I said myself, I'm sure. So I went to court. 2003. I won that case 2009. It was appealed 2014. I won the appeal. From 1998 to 2014, I just got, no, not, yes, 14. No, it's not 14. We are what? 21, not 14. 2021, last year, April, I won the case. But what happened? All along the line, I went back to that same NEPA, which is called NIPP. 2000, only 2 years. And I became a boss to all those who are my enemies. But I now said what I said, you see, they didn't know me. You see, in crime, if you don't have any intention to act on a crime, you are not going to be accused for that crime. Because the man didn't know me. He didn't know me. He was a head of my department. But he heard that a Yoruba man connived with an Hausa man to sack an Igbo man. And so, since I am the site manager, I must be involved. But I wasn't a manager for them. I construct, I design and construct, but they run. Well, long story. The Igbo man who took me said, I heard your story, but they told me about you. Come and work for me. He's dead now. He was the one who owns News Engineering. He said, I heard your story. And that man made me almost his partner, but I would have died with him when he died in an aircraft going to Sokoto, because he holds me, Ben, let's go. Ben, let's go. And you see, the man who sat me was an Igbo man. He doesn't know me. He only acted on an impulse. A Igbo man could have with an Hausa man to sack an Igbo man who stole money. I wasn't there. I wasn't part of this system now. But then, when I now met this same man, he's called Engineer Kevin. He's alive. At a symposium like this in Abuja, everybody left him and said, let us go and eat, sir. And he followed me like that now. That was the day I left News Engineering and I joined this company called BB Power. It's a British company with a local company now. Anyway, and I thought of the whole thing now. This man doesn't know me. He doesn't hate me. He doesn't even understand who am I, but he was told that it was my site. And so he sacked me. But today, South Africa, our partner, I go there, we work together. Britain, we call it BB, that is BB Power, we work together. And I said, how does God work? Do you understand God? That's my life story. I don't say to anybody, nobody knows, but these young men that I carry, 3 of them, one Judith, one Shola, I can't even see and know them now, but early morning we carry ourselves, early morning, so we don't really know who we are. Let me tell you about your faith. You have no faith. You have no faith. Let me tell you why you don't have any faith. You don't understand the Catholic Church. Until you find out, what is my faith? What do I believe in? The cross is not easy. Why should you say, want to carry a cross every day and you are looking for a Stanbic IBT bank? You are looking for, you cannot make it. They don't go together. They don't work together. I left my bank job 1972. Well, I couldn't read medicine again because of my chemistry. My biology was 1. My physics was 1. I was so brilliant. But I left those ones and did engineering. What am I saying now? This faith we are playing with, all of you are playing with your faith because you don't even know what you have. When I see any girl, say a Catholic, say yes, I say you're my sister. Because only you can be a Catholic, not a man. When you go to marry, you say, are you promising you're going to medicine to become Catholic? They didn't ask the man. You see, the woman, are you promising that when you have the children, will you make it a Catholic? And say, yes, I promise. Why not ask the man? So I'm begging you, this faith we're having now is not for your body. It's your soul. Most of us are thinking about my body. For me now, I'm still working. NPP is owing us over 300 million. That's how I'm going to work now. They're owing us a lot of 300 million. They're opening my company. Well, I cannot leave them. If I don't go to work again now, they say that, well, nobody is there again. So we go there spending our money to go to work until they pay us our money. I'm begging you. This is your faith you think you have. You don't have one. It's not tested. You have to test your faith. You test your money, you test your this and that, you test your exam, what you go and read chemistry, you read up. But when you about your soul, what do you read about your soul? If you're the Catholic, you don't have 3 books. You need them. 1, the CCC. It teaches you your faith, not the priest. No, they do very few things for you. But you must, like the bank said, you must check your own investment, your soul investment. The Bible, Catholic Bible, read the commentaries. Read the commentaries. Number 3, there's a book they call The Church History. Until and unless you read those 3 books, you're not a Catholic. You are just a Christian. Anybody can be a Christian. Adeboye is 1, Oyedepo is 1, Kisikoti is 1, Kiswahili is 1, and there are millions of them. They are Christians, but they are not Catholics. To be a Catholic, you must have those 3 books. Go and look for them. It's not a pathology book. It's not your physiotherapy book. It's not your dentist book. No, no, no. About your soul build-up. You must need them. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, the Bible, Catholic Bible, and then the three of them I mentioned now. Yeah, so you need them. Church history is beautiful. I read it 3 times. It's so voluminous. 3 times. I want to know, what is my faith? If you don't know what is your faith, you are wasting time. Catholic is not your faith. That's not your faith. Your faith is your soul. Where will it be when you die? I have no enemies. I always say one thing. Nobody offends me. I will tell you how to go over that problem. And if anybody offends you, you are in trouble. He is not in trouble. It's you that is in trouble. But I learned a way of understanding and breaking my anybody. Let me tell you how I do my own. How you can do your own too. 1. If anybody wants to offend me, I will say no. He doesn't want to offend me. He just does not understand. So I always forgive before you offend me. So you can't offend me. You can never. The person, okay, 1 minute. Well, if the session should stop, I will stop. Can I go on 1 minute more? 1 minute more. Ah, okay, I didn't know. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me. So I didn't know.
Don't worry, sir.
Okay, so please, every question in one. Please, a round of applause for Daddy. As quickly as possible, particularly questions that will be going to more than one person. If it's just you, at least a minute and a half. If it's you and someone else, please, we plead that you do not exceed a minute because we're way behind schedule. Please, we really plead. The next question we'll be giving to is just to one person, and we'll be asking Mr. Alex. Sir, please, what are the current challenges you see in the church for youths currently?
Yeah, so I think the challenges I see in the church, especially the youths, are, so currently there's a wave that's blowing across the world, and there's, will I put it in 2 words? There's secularism that's blowing around the world. So because of that, I think people are not sure of what they believe. So I think that's one challenge. Secondly, it may look simple, but you see the 10 commandments, they look simple, but if you go down to details, you see there's a lot of argument, misbelief around those 10 commandments, because 10 commandments speaks around things around idolatry. For commandments around marriage, there's issues around the LGBTQ stuff that's happening. So I think, in a nutshell, the major challenge facing youth is growing secularism. So that is becoming a difficult challenge. But I think how to win that is seeing how we can equip ourselves more with Catholic activities, spiritual activities, because in that way, and also, do more of reading, because the social media has given us a lot of insights to which we could tap in knowledge. There are several Catholic channels, EWTN, Vatican, and several, both online and offline, that I think we could use that as a tool towards the challenge that is currently facing youth at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, so quickly, I think I should ask Dr. Fabian this.
Dr. Aloysius.
Yeah, I think you take that question. So Dr. Aloysius then. So as people in the healthcare space, we're medical students or various departments, how do you think we can leverage on this, our profession going forward in terms of evangelism? Okay, as medics, how can we leverage on our profession in terms of evangelism? 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Please, before I go, my name is Inofomo. Good. Or simply Aloysius or Aloysius, the first name. Sorry, it's not only you. It's a common thing. People often miss. Thank you for your question. As medical practitioners, or before we even go there, we know there are three noble professions: medicine, law, and priesthood. We deal with human beings. These are the three noble professions. And we deal with the physical and the health-wise. Priest, spiritual, while the lawyers do theirs. Now, being in this field where we deal with the human being, we meet various people in different spheres of life. You understand? And in relating with them, whatever problems they have brought to us, every problem has a physical solution, spiritual solution, and a psychological aspect. And having dealt the part of with the physical part, medicine, it's also important to look at the spiritual aspect. And that is where the evangelization comes in. You can, while you are practicing your work, while even as a medical student, because whether you like it or not, I remember even before graduating, a lot of my community colleagues, family, always referred to me as a doctor already, you know, which I presume most of you here will definitely be experiencing the same. So that evangelization, I hope I understand your question in that perspective. You can evangelize as a medical practitioner or even as a student when you relate with the different number of people you see, both in your practice, in your respective lives. And even after advising them, doing your work, you can still, at the same time, still speak about God and letting them know how important He is in your life, and also what He can be to others. Time is, I don't want to take it too long because I believe there are more questions, but as we go on, we'll answer. Thank you very
much. Thank you so much. I don't know the question for me, but I think I will just try and talk about Daddy's question.
It's
question.
The same question.
The same question.
In the healthcare field, how can we leverage on our profession for evangelism of our faith?
Okay, I'll come to that. But I quickly want to talk about what was asked, what Daddy answered in quick terms. I think the first thing about young Catholic youth is that we are distracted by the fact that things do not look so shiny. Things do not, of course, when you go to Mass, there are no shining lights. We have candle, by the way. We have candle, so we can manage it. There are no those nightclub lights all around. The music is not so alluring like what we see in other places. The worship is not moving, right? It sounds so ancient. And I want us to understand something, that those things that you see that look like the rave of the moment in those places, in those churches, those things are not the mainstay of belief, of faith. Those things are not the central core of faith. Those things are things that, they are adjuncts. Let's just use the word adjuncts. They are additions, so to say. The things that build faith are practically in the Bible. So we'll just take quickly 2 Bible verses. There is a need to understand that you must work out your own faith. That faith needs work. I don't know whether you get it. Faith, for you to become faith, to have faith, you need to put in work. No one will spoon feed you. No one will sit you down and say, we'll be teaching you every day. No. It needs work. That is what one first point we must all understand. Faith needs work. Talk less more. Faith in the Catholic Church needs more work. It needs you to chase it, just the way Paul said, with fear and what? With fear and what? Yes. So let's talk about what Timothy said. Timothy in 2 Timothy verse 2:15 said, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun all profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Study. Study. You know the way a man walks, the way a workman walks. Study that way. So there are certain things that Daddy has mentioned that you must study. If you put those things in perspective, you will have a full understanding of the Catholic Church and our teachings and why we do the things we do. You see, why you do not certainly have that conviction in the church is because you do not have understanding. Once there is understanding, there is light. Once there is understanding, you know, oh, we kneel down here because we do this. We say these words because we believe in this. But once there is no understanding, it becomes boring. It becomes ancient. It's not the rave of the moment. Second Bible verse I wanted us to talk about quickly is from Romans chapter 10, verse 17. So then, faith cometh by hearing. Hearing what? The word of God. Faith cometh by hearing. Hearing the word of God. So basically, all I'm trying to tell you is, for you to thrive in these times of distraction, in these times of shiny things, in these times of very ravey music that goes with the beats of the moment, for you to hold your faith, you need basically to put in the work. And the work is by studying. The second work is by what? By putting yourself and hearing the word of God. Thank you so much. Lastly, about in these times, I believe that your life actually tells the story to your patients. I believe that the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you speak, is a whole lot of evangelism. It tells the story to whoever sees you. In fact, it's that person that will ask, sorry, doctor, what church do you attend? Because of the way you carry yourself, because of the things you say, because of the way you speak to that patient, because of the empathy with which you bring to the table when you are seeing your patients. So I believe that if you're able to live your life in God's word, in God's understanding, you are evangelizing even more than even opening your mouth and saying, do you love Christ? Do you believe in God? And all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fabian and Dr. Alicious. I think I'll pick Alicious instead. So, the last question from us here is a bit controversial. And, Paul and I discussed it. And I said, you know what, I'd rather take it. Reason being, it has to do with, and it's directed to you. Reason being is because it has to do with, sometimes, a lot of time, I actually struggle with the fact that certain things, I'm beginning to struggle. Before I used to be, yes. Then I started O&G, and I was like, oh no. Because we see women constantly. There was a woman who came in for antenatal. This was her 5th child. And she was having the children back to back. And the consultant just said, this one is Catholic. And true, the woman was Catholic. She had eclampsia at the first pregnancy. Second pregnancy, eclampsia and diabetes. Nobody tells you to stop. Common sense. But it's as if faith. There's something Martin says. I keep referring to Martin because a lot of times in spirituality, when you talk with him, you realize that, okay, this person. He says the church says faith and reason. And in my head, I'm like, this woman should stop. But then everything that she can stop with, that can actually put her in check. We know that the church gives various options for contraceptives. But the real things that would actually really put this thing in check, complete check, are things that the church will tell you, no. Contraceptives. All types. Now, we know, yes, the church has but I come to now look at it and I'm like, I don't think if in my first pregnancy I go through hell or shaggy. and then I know that very well, I'll be very eager that by 6 months or 8 months down the line, I have a big bomb again. It just won't make sense to me, particularly because I'm in the health sector. And I know a lot of people here, radiologists, nursing students, will feel the same way. If the guys don't feel the same way, no problem. The ladies actually feel, because you see this thing regularly. And I have a problem that if we're making these rules and policies as a church, is there no room for the people who actually feel these things to come and air themselves out? Because I feel half of the conversations, and it's not to shame anything. For those of you who do not know, I'm a very strong Catholic. But then I have a problem when someone who is not in marriage, someone who has never experienced childbirth, they sit and tell you this is what to do. And every day, even as an obstetric, I'm a student, I'm not even in the practice. I see women die because, Auntie, you could have just shot these tubes up. Auntie, you could have taken contraceptive. Auntie, you could have done this. And then there's that conflict of faith between why this group of people are the ones making decisions, and it's as if the people who suffer this are not being consulted. And then people now suffer for this. So what's the position of the church? I know everybody knows the position of the church on this. But then how do we resolve that conflict technically? And then, is there a way? Is there a way? Because obviously we know for a lot of things, like, the church is not a secular organization, but is there a way we can push these things to the higher body so that they actually get to hear from people, like the people who really see these things every day?
Yeah, so Dr. Olisha, just share your opinion really on this matter and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Thanks. I sincerely hoped that I will not get to answer this question. But anyway, you have asked. Contraception is a real topical issue in the church. And I will just tell you my own personal opinion. We already know where the church stands. And whether I would like it or not, I see cases. If, for instance, a family came to me just yesterday. She's not a Catholic. In my practice, I saw her yesterday bleeding profusely. What happened? When I listened to her story, she has 5 children. She had an implant for contraception. The first one, for 3 years, went normal. She came for a replacement. Unfortunately, she started bleeding irregularly, removed it. She now got pregnant and came with a blighted ovum, for which she was given some drugs by somebody who was not probably a quack or so, and presented yesterday bleeding heavily. So we had to take her in, evacuate, and then stable. They now came to me, herself and the husband, that they want to seek my advice on how best to go about contraception. Now, first, as a professional, I'm bound to attend to them, a gynecologist. Second, as a Catholic, I'm not supposed to do that. So there lies the conflict. You understand? I know where you are coming from, because in truth, maternal mortality is quite high in this country. And one of the things people propose to reduce it is what? Contraception. But whether that is right or not is not a matter of discourse here. But the conflict really exists. And as a Catholic professional, I'm often caught in between what kind of advice I will give them or not. Now, the good news about it is that directly, when such a patient comes to me and is not a Catholic, I give them the professional advice as it is in the books, as I have been taught. But when I'm asked to come to the church to defend or there are some other Catholic hospitals that I oversee, especially some clinics in our church. If I meet the same scenario in that kind of place, of course, my answer and my management will often differ. One, the woman in question today, the scenario I presented, I spoke with them. I said, no problem. Once this episode is over, you are already through with your family. You can come back, we'll sit down, look at the options, and then we know what is best for you. There is a family planning clinic you can go to. They will advise you on what to do. However, if I had met this woman at my church clinic, I'm now wearing the cap of a Catholic gynecologist, and she being also a Catholic, I'll explore the options of things to do that will even prevent pregnancy. Now, before I continue, I want to believe that the church is against contraception because if they are looking at the bigger picture, they do not want those who are not married to go into it. Because if they say they embrace contraception, indirectly, they are also embracing sex outside marriage, which will eventually result in pregnancy. But there are a lot of other factors that the church looked at. And in order to prevent this, I believe that was why it was a big no to contraception. But as I was saying, if I'm going to get this patient I will explore other methods, because I had to tell some of these patients that even within marriage, there are ways they can prevent pregnancy. You get what I mean? Though it is not easy. There are ways they can. But in truth, a lot of them will go and seek contraception elsewhere. They will. I do not have a 1 + 1 = 2 answer to this your question. But I have often been in between. And in truth, I've had opportunity to actually advise some to go and get contraception, because this woman will eventually put herself in a very difficult position if she gets pregnant. While, if that is so, why personally I do not engage in it, I do not give their service. I'll tell them, this is my position, this is where my faith is. You can get it elsewhere. But I personally will not put in a contraception for you. But I'll make you realize that if that is what you want, if it's still different from what I tell you and you do not, you can always seek for other answers elsewhere. That's how I do mine. I hope I have tried to answer your question.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, so we're throwing it open to the house. Do we have any questions?
It has one question for us.
Doc, I'm really referring to you because I'm a practicing Catholic by birth, right? And I've been involved with youths since I was 30. In the question that the panelists handed to you, You had the conflict of your Catholic faith and your professionalism. I think in a forum as this, it is important to tell these upcoming doctors that whether as a Catholic or non-Catholic, but as a professional, they should deal with the patient in a professional manner and not a religious manner, so that the patient would be treated appropriately and not have conflict. And I think we can rest our argument. St. Paul tells us, examine all things, hold fast to that which is true. That, I think, professionalism should be what their core answer to that situation should be, so that nobody is endangered while we flip-flop with our faith and our professionalism. I think professionalism should win the day. But I leave it in your capable hands. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, thanks. Now, professionalism, that's why I created a scenario. That one, the conflict exists, but how do I handle it? It will not be fully okay for me to just tell them, okay, yes, go tell them to go and get contraception. I'm wearing two caps here. One as a professional, one as a Christian Catholic. That's why I said, that was the reason why I said, one, you can advise them. If my faith tells me that I'm not supposed to do this, and I do it, to me, it's a sin unto me. It depends on, I'm a born Catholic by birth, though I got really grounded in Catholicism when I was in the university. I was the national PRO of FECAMDS then, back in Lut. But unfortunately, I heard Lut is no longer among you. Anybody from Lut here? I don't know what happened. Yeah, we were the first to bring NFCS to Lagos and FECAMDS to Lagos. We hosted then, back 98. Yeah. So, that was when my faith really got grounded. And you know why I brought it up like that? I had a patient came to me just last week, heard that abortion is now legal, that he wants abortion. Government retracted. I attended where the meeting, we had a meeting where they brought out a paper that once there's a legal abortion can be procured, But government retracted it when the Catholic Church made some noise and some religious body. But a patient came to me a couple of weeks back that he heard that he wants to. And we know that abortion itself is not permitted in the church and is still restricted by our Nigerian laws. So, and that is also another conflict. First, I know people do these things outside even professional lines and even religious lines. So, if we are answering this kind of conflict, if I just go straight and concentrate more on the professional, what the profession says, because I'm a gynecologist, I perhaps would not have done justice. But I have thrown the question back to you that what you will do at any point in time will depend on your faith. If I am very liberal, that I actually don't see anything wrong in contraception. I only feel contraception is only bad outside marriage, which some of my colleagues that are Catholics hold. They feel once you are married and you do contraception, to you there is no problem. But if you practice contraception outside marriage, then there lies there are a subset of people that believe in that. While others believe that since the church says no contraception, hook, line, and sinker, no contraception. But then, And you know, a lot of us times, even in sin, we try to rationalize. This is minor sin. This is what? Major sin. But these are individual perceptions. But we must realize that conflict arises. So what will determine what you are going to do tomorrow is your what? Faith. I can only tell you what I can do. Even to advise you, it is not left for you to take from my own experience, whether you do that or not. Background. If to you, you stood by the church and you understand the reasons why the church says they're no to contraception, fine. Please stick to it and God will assist you. But if on the other hand, your professional line says you must advise and help this person procure contraception, if you believe that it is not good to do that against your faith, then please don't. You are not the only gynecologist. And contraception is not an emergency that will determine whether the person is going to live now or not. Thank you very much.
Of course, I was going to say Prof should actually say something about this.
Yes, thank you very much. We share a number of things in common. Born and bred in Catholicism. I'm unrepentant about it. You created a scenario, and I heard something there. The woman had an implant. It expired, she came and changed, and she developed more problems. So I don't want us to run away believing that contraception is the ultimate and there's nothing wrong with it. There is a lot medically wrong with contraception, all forms of contraception. Therefore, I will not accept a situation in which I'll be forced into doing some things, believing that contraception for the very young is very dangerous. Those hormones are not the natural rhythms of those people, so they have problems. And I have also read of, if it is true, the ultimate is BTL, bilateral tubal ligation. I've read of people who had BTL, it failed, repeated it, it failed again. So we must not present it as if it's the ultimate. And I also want to be cautious about using the difficult case to determine the mainstream. I find the most conflict where a man is saying, I want to control my family. I don't want any more children. And the woman wants more, or more likely, vice versa. The woman says, my health. Let's not have any more children. And the man says, nope. That day that we were taking our vows, we said we'll accept children as they are sent by God. That, for me, creates an immediate, and that is, for me, where I find conflict. This woman will run into trouble with another pregnancy. The man is not listening. We cannot push for natural family planning, which, by the way, has no side effects. And you said it, all it takes is discipline. All it takes is sacrifice. So let's push those ones. But for me, when it comes to abortion, you say, no. there's no professionalism or medical thing about it. But you guys in that profession, I'm safe, I'm in pediatrics. When you deliver the baby, I'll take care. We'll have to look, that's my own. We will have to look at the principle of double effect. If you apply the principle of double effect carefully, most of these conflicts will disappear. This woman is pregnant, she has a cancer of this or that. You want to give chemotherapy. That chemotherapy will kill that baby straight away. Abortion. But that is not what you are aiming at. The effect you want is to cure that cancer. The double effect is something else. You will not be held responsible, even in the Catholic Church, for a double effect. So if you apply the principle of double effect very carefully, many of those conflicts will be resolved. Thank you.
I am a junior doctor. I can't be in between both of them. But this is my perspective. I will always answer questions from first principle. And first principle is asking questions. And first principle goes in this question, says, why is the church saying we should not do artificial forms of contraception? That's the first question you need to understand. If you ask that question, you will look at the church stand. The church stand is very simple. This does not follow God's own principle. This does not follow God's own way of doing things. You are the one coming in between, right? God, in his own wisdom, has created a cycle. Within this cycle, he says, these days, there are safe periods there. Why not follow this principle? And it works, by the way. It works. Yes, we the medical professionals go and we put percentages to those who work better and those who work better most. Let me use that English, forgive my French, right? We go ahead and put percentage. You say this one is 90%. You say this one is 5%. If we understand the reason why these things are put in place, I guess it becomes lesser. It becomes easier to actually obey. It becomes easier to become disciplined. It becomes easier to say, follow through with those principles. That is natural family planning method, is my message, and it works. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience? None? Okay. One last question for Mr. Alex, please, just a quick one. In 2 words, not 2 words, 2 sentences, just give us a parting advice from this panel. Just 2 sentences, short ones, please.
Okay, so for me, I think just let me make it 3. So 1 is you're a Catholic, and it offers and it opens you to an opportunity to be able to become holy through the sacraments, and also 1. Secondly, I think you should use that opportunity very well. That's 1. Secondly, like I said before, there's growing secularism and messaging which is at variance with our Catholic values and Christian values. It might not be comfortable the way we look at it, but I think if you stick to it, at the long run, you'll be best for it. So I think those are my 2 passing messages. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. With that, we've come to the end of the 2022 FECAMDS National Symposium. A round of applause. Quickly, before all our speakers go, Chief would like you to come up and give them an award here on stage. Please, the plaques.
It's now, we want to make a presentation of plaques to the participants in appreciation of their contributions to this year's symposium. The Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Nigeria Award of Appreciation presented to Engineer Emmanuel Adeleke Benedict. Please step forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Nigeria, award of appreciation presented to Dr. Aloysius, and I will not dare make the mistake. So, give us your surname.
Enough for more.
I hope you've got that one. Thank you very much.
So earlier I talked about Dr. Lola Obi, and Mr. Alex actually came in to stand in for her. So he'll be receiving her award. He'll be receiving our award on her. We're representing her as he takes the award for her.
Okay. So on behalf of the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Nigeria, award of appreciation presented to Dr. Olufumilola Loretta, who is receiving on her behalf. Okay.
Okay, and also likewise on behalf of Dr. Ajibola Sanda, as both are alumni of FECAMDS, of LASU, Lagos State University College of Medicine, Dr. Fabian will be taking the award.
On behalf of the Federation of Catholic Medical Students Nigeria, award of appreciation presented to Dr. Ajibola Sanda, who gave us a very brilliant lecture this afternoon. Please, a round of applause for him once again. On behalf of the Federation of Catholic Medical Students, Medical and Dental Students Nigeria, award of appreciation presented to the money people, Stanbic IBTC.
This one is standing ovation. So once you hear the name, please, everybody start screaming your heads up.
So, the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Nigeria, award of appreciation to the one and only, my sitting companion, Professor Fidelis Njokama.
This kind of
Wow, a standing ovation, a standing ovation. Thank you.
Nothing I go fit give you in marriage. They don't try me many times, they don't fit. You live my side, you don't leave me. Hey, right now, body get moving. And now you be the reason I cannot deny the feeling. You get as it in the do me. Now you give me the beauty.
Ice water. So before I step down, because when I was listening to the panelists, I wanted to make two contributions to you young people as you journey through life. Bear in mind that your faith is what will see you through to our age and beyond. Don't lose your Catholic faith. And Hebrews, St. Paul tells us that he who comes to God must believe that he is, and he is a diligent rewarder of anyone that seeks him. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. By faith, we understand that the world was formed by the word of God, and that the things we see, everything, this one, were made out of the unseen. So you create from the spiritual to the material and not the other way around. So all things come from the immaterial to the material. So walk by faith and not by sight. And may God bless you all as you go through your life. Thank you.
We're so grateful for everybody coming today. We're very, very, very grateful. So, yes, we're about to round up. In fact, we're rounding up now. But for us to round up, we need to all stand, and then we'll call the head of symposium up to just give us quickly, and maybe do the closing prayer quickly. Paula, please, can you stand up?
Okay. I would like to thank everyone so much. I would like to thank our guest speakers. It was a fantastic session. I would like to thank our panelists. Thank you so much, sirs. Our sponsors, thank you so much for supporting us. And our audience, the students, we really, really appreciate you. We took so much time, and you guys still kept following. And I'm sure you guys learned a lot already, so we really appreciate you. Thank you all so much, and have a lovely rest of the convention.
Bola, please, just hold on, please. You know, yesterday was Bola's birthday. You thought it was over, did you? So please, we have a surprise for Bola. As we all sing, the LOC chairman will bring in Bola's birthday cake. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bola. Happy birthday to you. Hip, hip. Hip, hip.
Thank you so much.
So on behalf of FECAMDS Nigeria, FECAMDS Lasso, happy birthday, Bola.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, thank you.
So closing remark will be given by the LOC chairperson. Cake no go reach everybody. See how small the thing is. See the way all of them are opening the Please, closing prayer by the LOC chairperson, in person of Dennis and Jokama. Please, a round of applause.
Okay, can we all rise? Can we all rise, please? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We thank you, Lord, for today. We thank you, Lord, for grace. We thank you, Lord, for everyone present here. We thank you, Lord, for those who were not able to make it. We thank you, Lord, for your speakers. We thank you, Lord, for our panelists. We thank you, Lord, for those who set up this beautiful day. We pray that God rewards them, each and every one of them, through Christ our Lord. We pray that everything we learn today will follow us all the days of our lives, not just in our minds, but in our practices, through Christ our Lord. We pray for FECAMDS Nigeria, that it may continue to grow and produce doctors worthy to be called Christians, through Christ our Lord. We fly to your patronage, O Holy Mother of God. Saint Luke the physician, in the name of the Father, and of the Son.
Thank you very much.
Okay, just a quick announcement. The General Assembly today will start by 5:15. So please, everybody just walk around, stretch your legs a bit. For those who want extra food, there is extra food. But please converge back here by 5.